Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. And it's just Marco here once again. First off, I would like to say thank you for 600 subscribers. Since I didn't make a video about it, I didn't have someone unsubscribe at the last second like usual. What ended up happening was I made a post about it, and I think someone saw it and then unsubscribed, so now there's only 600 when there was 601 the day before or something, so that's pretty funny. And, I didn't do anything yesterday because we ended up having a really rough evening with cooking and just some disorder with dinner, with getting dinner sorted out in a timely manner. And then today something really bad happened, and Davey is going to be really upset with me. I should probably start an eating channel at this point of just what I eat all the time or something. That wouldn't be very interesting, but seriously. So what I did was, last week on Sunday, you guys know we have lasagna. And, those meals, they last for 3 days. Well, I took leftover spaghetti sauce from last Sunday and I used it to make spaghetti today. So I used a 6-day-old spaghetti sauce, almost 7 days old. And I got a little food poisoning issue going on here, along with an IBS flare-up that started happening last week. So that's been pretty fun. And yeah, I also had an editor come over. I mean, I know that I'm supposed to start the commentary, but I just want to get these kind of little announcements out of the way. I had an editor come over. He might be helping me to work on the film somewhat. And yeah, that went pretty well. It was a pretty quick meeting, though. It was just kind of like an assessment meeting, I guess. And so, also, I got a haircut. And I have a pretty good haircut story to tell, and I'm going to tell it now, because this movie that I'm going to commentate over, How to Eat Fried Worms, this is one of my favorite movies. It is so fun. It's so funny. It is a kid's movie, but it is still really good. I love all the actors in it. I love the whole thing. I wish there was a sequel. Even if there was a bad sequel, I still would have loved it, So yeah, anyways. I went to get my hair cut. Now, I was going to the same hairdresser for a couple of years now. Ever since 2022, I've been going to this girl that went to my high school, actually, named Faith. And then I guess she lost her job at her most recent salon, or she quit or something, and she hasn't been at any other salon or something. So, and she doesn't respond to DMs. I tried to get her to cut my hair in the spring, and she wouldn't respond to her DMs. So I just had to go back to Great Clips, because honestly, I'm not going to go all the way to these certain salons unless I know someone there. There's lots of diamonds in the rough. There's lots of really good hairstylists at these Great Clips places, and they don't get enough credit, And you never know who you're going to get. It's just like with Forrest Gump and the box of chocolates. It's that's what happens when you go to a salon. But I love going to the salon, and you guys know why. You guys know exactly why I love going there. It's such a beautiful experience. And the person I got this time, I'd like to credit her. Her name was Kelly. And she was pretty hot. And she was totally making the moves on me. It was pretty hilarious because, she gave me, all this special attention. And I didn't know half the stuff she was doing. She was doing some really bizarre stuff. It's either some, strange techniques that she learned on TikTok, or she was really trying to spend extra time with me or something. I have no idea what she was doing. For instance, there was this one part where she took the scissors And you know the little tips, the end of the scissors, she put those on my forehead, and she was literally just snipping at the same place for a minute long. It was like, it was so weird. It was like, what are you doing? Why are these little scissors on my forehead? And I don't know what she was doing. Was she like trimming? Do you guys know, like, was she trimming like little microscopic hairs that are on my forehead or something? Like, she was really, really going to town on me. It was really, really weird, but actually kind of hot. And so that was pretty fun. That was a fun haircut experience. It lasted a lot longer than it would have with, the regular haircutters there. Because the haircutters at Great Clips, they rush through you really fast. They get it over with. I had another really gross experience. This one wasn't so fun because she wasn't like, this girl was kind of like a Barbie, like a brunette Barbie. But this other woman, she was like, let's just say she looked a little bit like Melissa McCarthy. And oh God, guys, it was really bad. She was really, really desperate. And, I know that, when you're a hairstylist, you should talk to people. Sometimes you should be very polite and nice and friendly. But wow, she was going really overboard. She was like rubbing all up into me so that my elbow was practically like, going all the way up in there. She was doing that deliberately too. I could tell. It was really, really weird. And this happened, I can't remember when this happened. It happened like a year or so ago or more. I can't remember. But she kept on asking me all these personal questions like, so what do you do? Oh my God, you make movies? Oh my God, what kind of movies? And she had this like really desperate tone in her voice. And like she was really, really intense. Like she was like getting so close to me when she was cutting my hair. It was really, really bizarre, guys. Like I'm telling you guys, like this sometimes you get some weird experiences at salons. She was practically like it was really weird. And yeah. That was totally a long tangent though. Anyways, and now I'm having some allergy issues as I always do. Whenever I start a video, I always get like a little allergy issue and it fucks everything up. And I'm also having my dinner here. I'm having twice baked potato, which I really love twice baked potatoes. Do you guys like those? I like baked potatoes, but I like twice baked potatoes just a little bit more, because of the sour cream and the cheese. I'm having cheese booger, homemade. This is actually burger meat from June. If you guys remember back in June when I was supposed to film, and then I didn't get to film for any good reason. One of the meals that I was supposed to make was hamburgers. And what I ended up doing, and this is the last tangent, by the way, and what I ended up doing was I took a little bit of the meat out and I put it in some jar spaghetti sauce, and then I froze the rest of it. So we actually just discovered this meat yesterday. It's all the way from June. And yeah, it's actually good though. It's not bad like the spaghetti was. That 6-day-old spaghetti. Yeah. First thing I love about this movie is the animated opening. Like, and this movie really came out of nowhere, too. I gotta say, like, nobody ever talks about this movie. And it's one of the best that there is. It's so creative. It's so fun. I love the animation style here. It's kind of like a old school, almost looks like watercolors. Yeah. This main character, too, he throws up constantly. He has a really easy gag reflex. I feel like this character, he should have been in more movies. Like, if you made 3 Diary of a Wimpy Kid movies, if you made all those Diary of a Wimpy Kid books, there should have been a sequel to this movie. Because you think about, there are infinite possibilities. Obviously, they wouldn't hit the same, because, you know, this is a very unique story. It's all about fitting in and, you know, moving to a new place and getting along with bullies or whatever, and getting over that kind of stupid school bullshit. But yeah, I feel like they could have made a sequel. And I don't know what the sequel would have been, though. How to eat frozen tarantulas? I don't know. How to eat 6-day-old lasagna. And this is really gross, too. This opening part here with the kid eating the burrito. It is so disgusting. I mean, honestly, like, you don't even have to have a weak gag reflex to throw up seeing this. And also, Billy's mom is a total MILF. Like, this is definitely like a top-tier kids movie MILF. What do you guys think? It's too bad that we never got to see Billy's mom eat a worm. So, yeah. Executive producer Toby Emmerich. That's pretty bizarre. I also kind of like Billy's haircut. It's kind of like a Justin Bieber, like, you know, it's almost like a mix of like a 1980s haircut mixed with like Justin Bieber boy band haircut. It's just pretty weird, but pretty funny. Yeah. Obviously, not all the acting in this movie is perfect, but I'll say all the actors who played these characters played the characters perfectly. Like, even if they had a couple of bad moments here and there, they couldn't have picked better actors for this movie. I think another reason why I chose to watch this movie is that the kid who actually played Nemo in Finding Nemo, he is in this movie. He plays a character named Twitch, and I thought that would be a nice... I don't know, I just decided to do this because there's not really anything else that's come out that's worth watching or reviewing. I mean, Reagan hasn't come out yet on YouTube. I'm not going to pay to see that movie, so, yeah. One of the only things I don't like about this movie is the poster. I mean, on the poster, all the kids have these, like, kind of smiles. Even the main villain of the movie, what's the main bad guy's name? I can't remember. Sorry. We'll hear it. Wait, didn't he already say, was it Joe? I'm rewinding. This is fucked up. I should have heard that. It's Joe. Even Joe's face on the poster, he has this kind of like smiley kid's face. Like that's the actor and that's not the character. I feel like this poster was a huge mistake because I guess it pokes at the fun and the curiosity of like, oh, look, worms, isn't that gross, isn't that weird, isn't that funny? But like still, like all the characters are really out of character on this poster. The only kid who's really in character is Billy at the center of the poster, with and maybe Erica too. So yeah. And this movie came out in 2006 too. So this was like right when I was in like the second grade, I think. Second or third, I can't remember. Excuse me. And this is gay too. Like they're all like, we should stare at them. Like that's really gay. I gotta say, like they never did that in my school. Like if they didn't like you in school, what they would do is they would act like you wouldn't exist. But then when you weren't looking, they would stare at you and they would watch what you were doing. I had this one bitch named Kayla, and she was a real bitch. Or at least she turned into a real bitch by senior year. And she would literally just stare at me for the entire lunch period while I was just sitting there like minding my own business. It was pretty weird. I don't know what her deal was. Maybe she had a crush on me, like a secret crush on me. I really liked her at first, too. I had her in, like, a history class in, like, 8th grade. And we sat together and we got along real well. And then we moved seats and she acted like I didn't exist ever again, so... Yeah. I got a ton of funny stories I could tell you guys. I really destroyed her, too. We did this little thing in English class... And here's Erica. She's kind of a cute kid. She's a fun love interest character, I like the fact that she's taller than Billy. I like the fact that, this is probably one of the few movies, at least kids' movies, where, like, the love interest is taller than the main boy. Usually that's not allowed. The boy has to be taller. And it's like, why? Who fucking cares? So anyways, we were doing this little, like, debate in English class where we stood up in, like, a circle, and she was, like, debating about, like, why people shouldn't have to care about other classmates. Like, she was, like, saying, like, none of us should really care about each other or what happens to each other, and I totally, like, destroyed her. And even my teacher was kind of taken back. She was like, holy shit. She was, like, laughing. It was really funny. That was, like, my big moment with her, because I was like, people like you really need to be put in your place, mean girls like you. And society's going to put you in your place anyway, so, This looks like this actually kind of reminds me, too, the teacher in this classroom. She kind of reminds me of my 4th grade teacher. She looked like this, but she was a lot taller, fatter, and her hair was not like curvy and wavy. But yeah, so this was like perfect for me. It really reminded me of like my elementary school, or I don't know, are these kids in middle school? I don't know, it doesn't seem like it. This was another thing, too. Putting your backpack in the cubby. You guys know what's really fucking hilarious? Sorry, I gotta swallow my food to digest it. But, apologies about the inconveniences of the human body, But, in middle school, they made a big deal about, like, you not having your backpack in class, and about keeping your backpack in your locker, and you cannot have your backpack in class. But then it's really funny, because in high school, they literally didn't care at all. And, like, I took my backpack to every single class, you know, like, and I never used my locker one time in high school. In fact, I don't even know where my locker is or was. The locker I had in middle school, I could probably point it out to you now, today, you know, because we were forced to use them every day because we couldn't take our backpacks into class. So, yeah, that's also pretty funny. What about everyone else? Because I've heard from other people, like, I don't know what the deal is with, like, not being allowed to have your backpack in class. I could see, I actually do think there's a good argument because when I was in senior year and I was in psychology class, and this commentary is going to be a long one, but it's fine because there's actually stuff to talk about, which is like a rarity in these commentaries, or some of them. But there was a kid, he was a freshman. He was a little punk-ass bitch. And there were a lot of little punk-ass bitches that were in my psychology class because they were just there to take a filler class and nothing more. And that's why I was doing it too, so, you know, no judgment. But he was a special kind of retarded fuckhead. And he kept drugs in his backpack. And he took them out in the middle of class. And they fell all over the floor and shit. And, like, if he had had his backpack in the locker, then he never would have been able to get caught like that. He didn't get caught, but he was put in a very compromising situation. And if I was, like, a narc or a fucking loser, I would have told on him, like, right then and there so I could watch him get beaten up and taken to the principal's office. But, yeah, that was really funny. So, there is a good argument, you know, so that you don't get caught with your drugs in class. Which he had marijuana, so, like, you know, the most harmless drug on the human planet, you know, way less harmful than alcohol, way less harmful than tobacco. So that was another reason why I didn't feel it was necessary to say anything. So, yeah. There you go. I gotta say, like, this, I'm not one of those types, you know, those fan fiction types who, like, just, they say everything is gay, and they make everything gay, you know, like, oh my god, Hannibal and Will are gay, Norman Bates is gay, Batman is gay, you know, they just make everything gay. Well, I'm not one of those types, but I gotta say, man, so far in this movie, Joe, the bad kid, he's coming off as really gay. Like that little wave that he does to Billy, it's really gay. Like, and I'm not saying it in a bad way. I'm just saying it as like an observation of like, it's really funny that like, this is what it looks like. I mean, now as an adult, you know, as a kid, I didn't really think about it, but wow, you know, that was a really homoerotic wave. Like, if I waved like that to a guy, he'd probably think I was fucking insane. Yeah. And this moment, too, it's actually pretty reminiscent of, like, the Haunted Mask Goosebumps, if you think about it. That was good, the zoom-ins. I really love what Billy does here. He says, screw you. Flicks one right on his face. I mean, that's more brutal than any beatdown. You know, like in like the Karate Kid when Daniel does the fucking crane kick on Johnny, even though Danny was the bully in that movie. Johnny was the victim and the hero. But flicking the worm on Joe's face is way more brutal to me than any beatdown could ever be. This is also very homoerotic, though. This whole movie I'm probably going to look at as being really homoerotic. Especially with the ending scene with the... Well, we'll get to it when we get to it. This movie is so classic. It's like Matilda. It's something I could watch all the time, every year. It's something... I actually watched it, I think, last year in the springtime. When I was sick and I couldn't find out what was wrong with me. Or I couldn't figure it out myself, yeah. And also, this whole sequence was really bizarre, too, I gotta say. Like, the principal walks into the lunchroom. He's really upset that everyone was, like, excited and happy and talking and shit. And then he just walks around and glares at everyone and leaves. That's, like, really cartoonish, but really fun and funny. You know, like, that would never happen in school. At my schools, at least, the principals literally just stood there and watched you eat. Or they just stood there and surveilled the lunchroom. I also love this, the little brother and his cringeworthy song. You know what I think is funniest about this movie? Every single actor in this movie, all the kid actors, like especially Woody, he's going to grow up and have children, and he's going to get to tell his children, hey, son or daughter, I was in a movie. It's called How to Eat Fried Worms. And the kid's going to be like, what the hell? I think what's also funny about this movie and what's kind of cool is that there are moments like this where the dad's talking to his son where they feel like honest, earnest, sentimental moments, like emotional moments. And then in between that, you have these really hilarious, goofy scenes and sequences. They don't really do that anymore. You know, they just keep the goofy tone the entire way through. They don't have any serious moments. They don't try to you know, or they just over serious it, you know, like in Harold and the Purple Crown. Also, this whole office interaction too, this is the strangest office I've ever seen. Like the boss has like a porn stash. The guy who is like, I don't know, his Joe character in the movie is like a really weird looking guy who he even looks weirder than Dwight on The Office, honestly. Like, if they made a show about this office, people would think this was the weirdest office ever. This movie also, the thing with the dad telling him to go around and say, hey, I'm Billy Forrester, and shake her hand. I actually did that. That was how I made one of my best friends in elementary school before he turned into a shithead. His name was Viraj. And he was sitting all alone, and he looked like he was sick or something. And I went up to him and said, hey, I'm Marco Carlson. And I tried to shake his hand and everything. It was really funny. He wasn't sick at all either. That's what was even funnier. He was just kind of like not in the mood to talk. I'm trying to see too. I'm looking up to see if like any of these actors have been in anything else. Because I'm curious. Oh, he hasn't. No. That's too bad. He's a weird looking guy, man. Rob Simon. That is pretty weird. I want to figure out where you live. What color door is yours? I want to figure out where you live, Billy. Like, that's really weird. Nobody would ever ask someone like that in school, man. Could you guys imagine if I did that? Hey, what color door is yours? I'm trying to figure out where you live so I can come see you. I want to come eat worms with you in your bedroom. Let's have a worm sleepover. Let's just eat worms together. That'd actually be pretty cool, like a Goosebumps themed sleepover where you just eat worms all day. Yeah. I like how there's this like legend and myth around this character too. The bully. That's pretty fun. It's also even funnier that after this, when you think about this legend, it's kind of stupid because it's like, oh, there's no treatment for an ulcer? Like, so what? He punches you with his ring and gives you an ulcer. So then you go to the doctor and you get it taken care of and you take medicine and it goes away. Man. It's pretty goofy, but funny. And also, this whole thing with the worms, with like gummy worms and everything, it's really weird. And it's really gay. And that shot with the kid with the worms in his... like, just really, really strange choices in this movie now that I look at it with a critical eye. And this whole thing, calling him Worm Boy, that sounds like a porn actor name, man. That sounds... like, hey, my name is Pussy Talks a Lot, and I am gonna do a scene with Worm Boy today. Oh, God. I'm going to hell. After this commentary is done and over with. This commentary... I've said so many bad things on this channel, but this commentary probably takes the cake. What I really like about this movie, too, is that he's calling them on their bullshit, you know? Like they're now building up this fake myth about him, and he's calling them out. He's saying like, look, you're gonna call me Worm Boy when I made an obvious joke, and I did what I did in the lunchroom. Well, I'm gonna outdo you, and I'm gonna show you that you're so stupid that you're gonna have to go even further as well. Would you guys eat Tim Worms? I would. I would do it. But honestly, this kid is pretty good. I'll say this too. I know that this is going to make some people scratch their heads. I think that the kid in this movie, Billy, I think that he's better than Greg in Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Because Greg in Diary of a Wimpy Kid is really, really unlikable. And I know he's supposed to be unlikable, but the actor in that movie did such a good job playing him that he was even more unlikable. Whereas the kid in this movie is supposed to be likable, and therefore he is. Apparently, too, he almost didn't get the role. His mom had to, sweet talk a FedEx person to ship out his audition tape. Like, see, stuff like that doesn't happen anymore. You just send it online. Fortunately. Now here we have another weird office scene. Man, these office scenes really, really stick out in this movie. Like, so bizarre. He breaks the coffee machine. It's just so weird. A guy walks in and just asks you to play tennis, and it's like a weird thing to you. It's so weird, this movie. And he's intimidated by him too. Let's listen to what this movie is. So homoerotic, guys. It's not what he asked me, it's the way he asked me. This is like, what the hell? Like, he was testing me. Like, what? Like, what is... This is insane. He's got to eat. So, oh god, that was another homoerotic line. Oh god. They're saying sphincter over and over again. He's like, stop, you guys. I have to eat one. I have to eat 10. That is really, really bad, guy. Oh god. Oh. Oh. And then he just completely gets over it. He's starting to smile. Oh, God. Also, this thing here where the teacher's coming over to see what they're looking at is stupid too. Because it's like, so what if they're looking up worms and they're researching worms? It's not even any of her business. And it's like, so what if they were to begin with? Like, is that not acceptable to look up and research about worms because they're dirty and gross. It's like, yeah, that's the public school for you. Yeah. There's Nemo. Nemo's leaving him. You know what else is sad, guys? The guy who made this movie has not done like any movie since this movie. He's the guy who did Willow, you know, the movie Willow, and then he also wrote and did the new series that they took off Disney Plus. And he has not made any movies lately, and I think it's a real shame because, again, like, this movie deserved a sequel. I even got the book. They had this How to Eat Fried Worms book, and I bought it. It was not the original book, it was the movie book. So, and also, this is a really beautiful neighborhood, I gotta say. Like, I wish I knew where this was. It's really pretty. I bet you could have a worm sleepover with Erica. She just like to eat worms all day. I probably ate a worm today when I had that 6-day-old spaghetti. Yeah. Tuh. Really smart writing in this movie, too. Yeah. See, it's smart writing in this movie. Why doesn't this guy make more movies? All right, I'm gonna get my dessert. You guys aren't gonna notice because it's gonna cut. And oh my God, we're already 44 minutes in, and we're only 24 minutes into this movie. Shit. I'm gonna go get my dessert and clean up this dinner mess. So, BRB. And I am back. This scene is really perfect too. I mean, this scene really feels like a Diary of a Wimpy Kid scene, I gotta say. This is pretty cringeworthy. But it's no more cringeworthy than Joe waving to Billy and calling him Worm Boy and having his boys stare at him and shit. This is the last brownie of my first batch. A bad batch. Something happened with them. They're really crumbly. I don't like them. How could you hate this town? Honestly. Every single set so far has looked beautiful and has looked like a place that I would want to live and have a family in. It's such a bad idea too. Go see if you can play soccer with these kids that you don't know, because they're playing soccer. So you should go try and play with them too. You don't know anything about them or anything. Like, it's just a terrible idea. You know, I had gym class with a lot of these kind of douchebag types, and it actually made things worse, at least just for them, because I would actually outdo them, and I would do really well in gym class, and then they would get really embarrassed. There was this one guy, and he was like a really, really cringeworthy, annoying person, and we were playing basketball, and he was fighting with me for the ball for about 20 whole minutes. We were the last people that had the ball. Everyone else was eliminated. And for 10 minutes, he wasn't trying, and he was like, wait a second, why is he so able to play it? Like, why is he still there? Why is he not giving up yet and not giving me the ball? And so then he started having to try, and we spent another 10 whole minutes as I was still about to go get a score and go get a point. We would have won. And then, boom, he actually was able to get it, and then he won the game. But still, that's what usually happens in this kind of situation. So I don't think it was a good idea that he tried to go there and play soccer with them. Yeah. Let's see what Billy packs to run away. Oh, they didn't really show it. That's unfortunate. They should have showed it. You know, they did that in Jumanji. That's only now dawned on him. I can't run away. Where will I go? Like, that's just... He's just now thinking of that when he's already out the front door. That was stupid. Yeah. Ugh, how the hell did he do that? The dad just flossed and he almost flicked the floss in his face. Or no, was that the tennis racket? I can't tell. Uh-oh. Woody's giving those ants a hawk to And this is now even getting even worse too. Billy is saying, "I'm a whole other person. I'm Worm Boy, and you're my slave." That's pretty bad, guys. This is getting pretty bad. I guess this movie's about self-concept, too. It's like with Hitman. Oh, God. Oh, God, guys. Another line came up. You're shaking my bike and it hits my dilly dink. Oh, my God. Oh, guys. I'm telling you, there's something off about this movie. There's something wrong. Oh, my God. There's something going on here, guys. This isn't just how to eat fried worms. There's something going on. There is a conspiracy. What? This is so insane. Like, Joe's brother is somehow even gayer than him, and he's saying that his entire high school was laughing at this middle school kid. It's like, what kind of high school do you go to that, like, every single kid in your high school is focused on what some random high school kid's little brother is doing, you know? But he did a good job here at being a real jackass, honestly. He could have been Roderick. And I know you guys are going to come after me now and say, not my Roderick. Well, I'm telling you guys, you're insane. Because the brother in this movie of the bad guy, he definitely could have been a Roderick. For sure. Easily. Yeah. This was also the first time where I learned what LARB was. I didn't know what that was until this movie taught me, so... That's always a fun thing, isn't it? Like when movies teach you things as a kid, like just little tiny things like that, and you always remember it. We still don't know what we're going to do for our 600 subscriber celebration, by the way. I came up with a food idea of what we could like eat as a celebratory food or something, but she hasn't come up with any ideas for like what movie or show we could do. What the fuck was that? I feel bad for Erica in this movie. She's stuck with the little shithead brother the whole day. And later on, he badmouths her. Billy, he badmouths her kind of incidentally, and then, yeah, she has to come and save the day. This one, I would say, I can't, or I guess the raw worm at the end is the grossest, but I would say that this worm is really gross, you know. They did a really good job at making these worms look real gross. But apparently they were really tasty, so, yeah. This one, though, looks the worst, because the texture, it just, ew. This movie was, like, a really good, like, fear factor for kids, I guess. Ugh. And there's Nemo. There's Nemo going, ew, ew, ew. That's funny. He just runs into a tree and knocks himself out. What? Kids' movies back in the day were so random. Now they're all saying swallow. As I told you guys, man. This movie's really homoerotic. I like how this park ranger comes into the movie, and it seems like, oh, is he gonna be... Like, you know how in kids' movies you have that adult bad guy who chases the kids around? It's like, is he going to be an adult bad guy who chases them around the whole movie, and then at the end he gets his due? And it's like, no, he just runs on up to the grill and knocks it over with his vehicle. That's fucking retarded, man. This is such a terrible... I know that Billy has a bad gag reflex, but, like, it was a really bad decision to, like, take, like, 10 minutes to chew up a worm and swallow it. Like, if you were eating a worm, you would want to swallow it as quickly as possible, no matter how easily you could throw up. You know what I mean? Oh, they were. This is also kind of interesting because you think about, okay, they're like, we got no place to cook the worms. So they were going to cook all the worms in the park on that grill. So what were like the original recipes, do you guys think, of like what they were going to do with all the different worms? Because you couldn't just fry all of them. So that's another thing I really like about this movie, is they constantly have to find a new place to cook the worms, constantly have to start like inventing new things on the fly. Really, really creative and fun. And also, this Adam guy actually kind of looks like McLovin too, so that makes this even funnier. Because this was like 2 years before Superbad, or maybe just 1 year. Yeah. Or no, I don't know. I can't remember. Ew. I love Clint Howard in this movie, too. I wish he was in the whole movie, man. Like, who would just let their random, like, who would let their nephew, some random kid, just come into your restaurant's kitchen and start cooking random stuff? Like, that's insane. This is probably one of my favorite parts of the movie, where this worm omelet gets served to the principal. You look a little mischievous. Gross. I wonder what his was flavored too. Because I can't remember if they went over all the different flavors, but there was like a behind the scenes thing where the main kid, he was there and he was talking about how they made the worms and they're actually just gelatin or something, and they all had different flavors. And I think one of them was like, I can't remember what it's called, what the flavor was. Yeah. What? Maybe he's nuts. Yeah, seriously. This one, apparently, this worm was the actor's favorite to eat. And I would say it's also the best worm, like, just visually. It's, it's really disgusting looking. It's really, really gross looking. It looks almost like something out of the X-Files. It actually kind of looks tasty too. You think about, like, if this wasn't worms and if it was like, I don't know, like some kind of Chinese thing. I know that sounds I know that sounds funny, but like, if it was like a chicken wing or a piece of chicken covered in some kind of special Chinese sauces, like, it actually looked pretty good. Boys are so weird. I like how that one's like pure red. I like how he's shaking around the little whisk like it's a little weapon. And I gotta say, too, the no water rule is complete bullshit. Like, that's completely, like, out of left field and totally, totally wrong. Like, you can't just keep on making up rules to try to make a game harder because you are realizing that, like, things aren't going the way that you want them to. you know. I think that the strategy here, if they really, oh god, here's the tennis part. This worthless kind of tennis subplot that doesn't really resolve. I mean, this whole subplot with this coworker who, like, I don't know, makes the main dad feel awkward or something, like that weird subplot, like it never goes anywhere. It's basically just kind of like a parallel to the main story. But as I was saying, I think the strategy should have been, and they actually do this later in the movie, they talk to Woody, the little brother, about the other things that make Billy throw up. And they could actually use those other things in addition to the worms in order to make him throw up. And you think about, if you just had to eat one gross thing and deal with one gross thing, and you're able to get through it at least twice, then you're going to be able to do it really good by the end of the day. Whereas if they had given him a bunch of other things that made him throw up throughout the day in addition to the worms, then they'd have a higher chance of getting him to puke with like a strategy like that. Yeah, this whole sequence is kind of dopey and dumb. They're cutting away from it though. Yeah. And this whole Dance Revolution sequence is pretty pointless too. Remember a thing when Dance Revolution was this popular too? Like, we played this game in gym class. They had this game at the movie theater. I actually spent a whole like hour playing it at the movie theater once because I was waiting to get picked up after seeing a movie. I can't remember which one. And yeah, and actually, we even got Dance Revolution to play at home. And I think I played it a couple of times, but I don't know. It's just not the same playing it at home. Like with, I don't know. It was just maybe it was the carpet in my brother's room. Just wasn't that fun to do. But yeah. Stupid. I guess that whole sequence is just like building like chemistry between these characters as like a team, friends, whatever. But it's really kind of pointless because, again, this movie's 50 minutes in. It's only an hour and 23 minutes. So we really didn't need that dance sequence, to be quite honest. Like, I know I kind of sound like a jerk, but it's just in thinking about, like, or maybe it's just my filmmaking perspective. We just didn't need it if we weren't going to have another movie. I mean, these characters, we know that they're going to be friends now. You know, we don't need to see them play dance together to understand that. Also, they would never make this movie the way it is nowadays, because Erica, the love interest, she spends basically the whole movie taking care of the little brother, you know, like, instead of being involved in the plot. They never let that happen nowadays, you know. They would say that that's like a sexist thing, even though it's a kid's movie. I also like that she's really strong. She stops Joe on his bicycle like that. It's pretty cool. I feel like she could have been She-Hulk. Yeah. Yeah, these are all really strange situations. Ow! Oh shit, that was weird. My water bottle just fell on my lap and it surprised me. But those are all really strange situations that would make you throw up. So I think too, like that would be something to do is like concoct, like I don't think you could though, but like concoct a really awkward, unnatural situation or something. Some really like gross type of situation. Have Billy watch Two Girls, One Cup while eating the worms, you know, like that would have done it. Yeah. Excuse me. he calls the brother a midget. Like, how does that even make sense? Yeah. It was the way that Joe said thanks, Adam, was really gay too. He's like, thanks, Adam. I'm totally looking. Oh god, and this sequence is gonna make me look at this movie in a whole new perspective. Let's just say, oh yeah, that is really bad, guys. This picture should be the thumbnail of this video. This Billy with the marshmallow all over his mouth while he gulps down the worm. Like, yeah, that's pretty bad, guys. Like, you don't get stuff like this anymore that's this hilarious and this unintentionally bad. And he's smiling now too. And he's saying he's Worm Boy. Oh god. And this whole dancing too. This dancing that he's doing. This dance is almost as cringeworthy as what's that guy's name? Dave Bautista in My Spy. Which, guys, remember how bad that movie was? They made a sequel. They made a My Spy 2. And I was going to watch it and review it or do a commentary over it. But it was over 2 hours long. And I was like, no thanks. I don't know why they made a sequel to that movie, though. Like, that was such a terrible movie. Nobody even watched it in a theater. And, like, I don't know why they made a sequel to that. Let's look it up on IMDb. My Spy. They did the cliche thing, too. They took it to Europe, or they took it to, Italy. Yeah. So it's got a 5.6. The first movie has a 6.4. So people thought that the first movie was better, and the first movie was already trash. Yeah. Actually, I'm kind of curious to watch this movie now that I've just talked about it. I feel like I have to watch it at some point. Yeah. You guys know what's really funny? What's really funny is that the little girl from My Spy 1, you know, in that movie, she and I'm not, I hope I don't come off as racist here, but the girl in the first movie, she came off as being, like, part black. Like, she looked like she was a mixed girl. But then in the second one, I'm looking at a picture of her now, and she looks like 100% white. Like, she doesn't look black anymore at all. So, like, how does that work, too, with, like, the whole white privilege thing? Like, if you grow up looking black, and then you're 16 to 18, and you turn white, like, how does that work? Like, do you still have white privilege, too? For some bullshit, you know, like, yeah. It's pretty funny. Yeah. Tuh. I think also they really missed the opportunity to have Joe come over and eat dinner at Billy's house to watch him and make sure he doesn't throw up. Like, honestly, that would have been such a great scene. It would have been probably really hilarious too, because what they end up eating is like Chinese with, like, you know, lo mein, which if you ate worms, then you wouldn't want to eat lo mein at all. Ugh. I love lo mein too. That's what I eat when I go to a Chinese place. Or actually, I also, and also this too, this is really gross. Woody face plants onto the food. Like, see, that is grosser to me than the idea of eating a worm. Like, just someone's face planting onto food. Like, that's just really gross to me. I don't know why. So they should have concocted a story like that. Or, I mean, not a story, but like a situation for Billy to go through. And this thing too, I like this scene, but it is really bizarre. Like, the dad thinks that he's not literally eating worms. He's just talking in metaphors. This almost comes off like the writer of the movie talking to the main character. You know, like the writer talking about, like, his self-importance and, like, the big ideas that he really wanted to come across in the movie. It just doesn't come across very well to me. You want to give people time. Don't judge them too quickly. It's a bad lesson, guys. You know why? Because all the people that you give time to are the people that judge you really quickly. And, yeah. So it really doesn't do any good to, like, give them time, because you wait around and then, you know. Yeah. And I also like this little fight here Adam has with the plant. They're peeking through Billy's window and having a secret meeting with him. I don't know why the boys didn't just come in through the front door and ask the mom to come see him. You know, like, would it have been an issue for these kids to come over and visit their friend? No, it wouldn't have. So, yeah. I can't believe the movie's almost over, too. This movie really goes by fast. I also love this line, too. Twitch is grounded because we wrecked his house and destroyed it. You know, like, he had to clarify it. Like, it wasn't enough that he said, because we wrecked his house. No, he had to say, and destroyed it. I feel like, too, honestly, why would you even want to get out of this bet? There's only like 4 or 3 worms to go, and you've already eaten all those other worms. Like, you should not give up at this point for sure. Stupid idea. Yeah. 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 I like that Erica has to point out that this ring isn't really a death ring. Not only that, but she also doesn't point out the fact that even if Billy got an ulcer magically from getting punched in the stomach, Billy could easily heal that ulcer with medical attention. So, again, like, I don't know why they don't point that out. It seems like something where it's like, oh, kids are so stupid that they can't just literally go ask their parents, hey, mommy and daddy, would I die from an ulcer? Automatically, you know, like... Idiot kids. I think Benji is probably my least favorite kid in the movie. Because his character, even it takes all the way until the very end for him to turn good. I think he's the last, like, evil kid to turn good, and I don't know. He just seems like he's probably, in order of in terms of, like, if you rank the kids on being evil, he's probably, like, the second most evil kid in the movie. Ooh, I found a penny. What's that penny doing over there? Is that a penny? Let's see. Yeah, it is. That's weird. 1953. Oh, cool. I'll put that in my wallet. Is it a lucky penny if you already had it and you just found it and it was, like, under some shit on your desk? Yeah. I feel like it should be a lucky penny at that point. Because you're lucky that you found it. Yeah. I like how the color grading changed too. You know, like, all of a sudden, because it's getting to be, like, darker out in the evening, like, the color has gotten a lot darker and a lot bluer and shit. It's, like, really weird. Movies don't do that kind of thing anymore. You know, like, nowadays they would have sucked all the color out. It would have almost looked black and white. But I really like what they did with the coloring in this sequence. I think there's only, like, 10 minutes left. There's not, like, 20 minutes left, so... This movie's pretty much almost over. Green worms. I don't think I ever looked that up either. I want to look that up now. Green worms. Ugh. Oh, okay. Alobophora chloroctica. The green worm. Interesting. That's kind of cool. I like how, oh, you know how I'm going to make this worm gross? Mix spinach and broccoli with it. Like, that's going to really, like, honestly, like, the worm is way grosser than that stuff. Again, what I would have done is ask the little brother, are there any other foods? Because Billy said there are a lot of foods that I can't eat. Take all these foods that Billy can't eat, supposedly, put them all in a blender, and blend that up with a worm, and I guarantee he would have thrown up. And this is way too much stuff, too. This is basically all broccoli and spinach and water. You wouldn't even really notice the worm. That's like a whole blender full of crap. He didn't even eat anything there. It just ran all down his mouth. And again, very, very strange looking. And of course, they had to say with this movie, we didn't hurt any worms in the making of this movie. And I'd like to take a minute to talk about this too, because I wanted to do that for my movie. I wanted to say at the end, because there is a part with a frog, and there's also a part with a cat. And I wanted to put on my movie, there were no animals hurt in the making of this movie. But apparently, in order to do that, you have to get some sort of special person to be on set with you to watch over what's going on. And there's like this whole official process. And it's kind of gay, because it's like, number one, it's just another way to force you to pay more money to do something. But number two, it's like, not everyone can afford to do that. So there's all these movies out there that people could think like, oh, was there animals hurt in the making of this movie? Who knows? We'll never really know. Because I didn't pay money for some person to come on set and watch over me handling a frog. Which, that was kind of fun. I also kind of feel like the creativity with these worms kind of waned at this point. What do you guys think? Because I feel like nowadays, you could come up with so many grosser worm combinations and recipes. Like, this was a good idea. I think this was really gross and a good, like, ew. I mean, there's no flavor with this one. It's just a worm in a microwave. And I like how Billy's not pussying out. He's staying behind. He's gonna eat the worm out of the microwave. And I like how Joe stays behind too, and they have to kind of work together to escape this biatch. This whole sequence also kind of reminds me of Goosebumps, by the way. It kind of reminds me of the Werewolf of Fever Swamp. You know when when the kid gets kidnapped by the hermit guy? Yeah. I like how Twitch just runs out of nowhere and he's got his pajamas on and it's like, what the hell? It's such a WTF moment, man. Yeah. I'd say this movie's like a B plus, you know? It's like a B plus. I would give it an A, but it does kind of feel like the creativity with the worms has kind of gone down a little bit, and I feel like the movie itself is kind of like tapered down. You know, like instead of feeling like it's really amping up, you know, like for the first like 40 or so minutes, it really felt like things were building up and like the movie was really going somewhere to where, you know, they kept on increasing the grossness with each worm, but then all of a sudden they just took a dive and it's now kind of like this kind of quiet finale. I do like it though. I mean, it's good. It's a good message here because Joe just tried to cheat and they all see him for what he is and they're like, yeah, fuck you. Like, even though we're all supposed to be on your side, like, nobody respects a cheater. I also kind of feel like a lot of this movie is wishful thinking. You know, the way that there's all these kids that really didn't like Billy, and all of a sudden at the end they're all really on his side because they see that Joe is a bully. I just don't think it would work that fast in real life. You know, as the dad said, you got to give people time. And it just works out a little bit too perfectly in this movie to where it's like everyone's good and friends at the end, you know. Yeah. And then I like how the brother shows up too. And the brother's like, ah, shit. You've lost the bet. Now you're going to make me look like a total loser. It's like, this big brother character, he is the biggest loser in this whole movie. Like, seriously. I also like the idea that this bully's big brother, he came all the way out to the middle of the forest. How would he know that these kids are out here, too? He came all the way out here to see a kid get bullied and to see these other kids, like, gang up on him and make him look bad. Like, that's how pathetic of a character this is. At least the older brother doesn't get on their side. You know, he doesn't just change good at the end. Yeah. And even the way that he rides the bike off into the distance is gay. The brother. It's funny. I like how this movie ends too, because like obviously Billy did win technically. I mean, not technically. He didn't win technically. Technically, he only ate 9. And also I like the whole thing about shaking hands and how it's a good message actually. People should shake hands. I shouldn't have shook hands with the editor, though, that came over to my house today. You know, I always extend my hand, which Winona Ryder actually had a story about how she extended her hand to Harvey Weinstein, and apparently he was upset about her doing that, which I don't know why the fuck would you be upset that Winona Ryder, of all people, extended her hand, like, to shake your hand? Like, what a fucking retard. But, like, I shook hands with the editor, and actually he has a cold, and so I probably shouldn't have done that in hindsight. Yeah, I didn't know, though, when I shook his hand that he had a cold. Yeah. But I also like that Billy says, like, no, we should both go to school with worms in our pants because I only ate 9. I didn't eat 10. That's not fair either. I mean, a lot of great messages in this movie. But also a very homoerotic ending. I also think these kids are really stupid, especially Donnie. You know, shut the fuck up, Donnie! But seriously, Donnie in this movie, he researched worms at the beginning of the movie, and he couldn't have at least researched, like, is there such a thing as a ring that can give you an ulcer? How do you get an ulcer? Is there a medical way that you can heal an ulcer? Like, that's all he had to do. And apparently these kids at the school are so dumb that they can't figure that out. Like, it's really, really bad. Or at least, it's not bad, but, you know, they're bad. Stupid. Again, it's a short movie, too. So the fact that I've extended this to 2 hours, it really tells you guys something. I want to see a How to Eat Fried Worms reunion movie. You know, like how they're doing Freakier Friday? Which I'm actually really excited for that movie, except Benji from this movie, he was in Freaky Friday. He was the little brother, and for some reason, he is not going to be in the sequel. I don't understand that. I feel like it can't be Freaky Friday without him, the little brother character, at least like a cameo of sorts. But, like, they should make a sequel to this movie, like a reunion thing. Yeah. I don't know what it would be, though. It would probably be pretty bad. It'd probably be like a really forced and awkward kind of story of like, oh no, my son got in a bet where he has to eat 10 maggots or something, you know, like, yeah. And God, the dad's character is such a he's such a robot. Like this kid, this was the first movie I ever saw this actor, and I know that he's been in quite a few things, Tom Cavanaugh, but like he is such a robotic like NPC of like he's just always like spitting fatherly wisdom and shit. Like he never has an off day or anything except when he's at work dealing with who's that guy? Rob Simon? Like, who the fuck is Rob Simon? Like, he's just the most random, like, who is that guy? What was that guy's deal? Like, that guy's character literally served no purpose in this movie at all, other than to parallel the main story. Yeah. They should have resolved that, too. You know, I will give this movie that criticism. They should have resolved the Paul Simon or Rob Simon story, because like honestly the dad character comes off as like one of the stupidest characters in the movie. Like the thing with like, it's not what he asked me, it's the way he asked me. Like, seriously? I also like, if you guys notice, Joe's hair is different at the end of the movie, and it almost looks like his hairstyle is kind of copying Billy's. And so to me, it's almost like a subliminal message of like conformity, of like, or something of like, I don't know, but you guys know what I mean, because like the bully has now changed his hair to kind of look a little bit like Billy's, and that actually happened with me. It wasn't with a bully, though, but I had Stifler's haircut from American Pie for a couple of years in middle school, and yeah, I don't. It was actually a pretty good haircut, I gotta say, and it's probably one of my favorite styles I've ever had. I might even bring it back one of these days. But there was another kid in school, and he actually copied that haircut. His name was, I think his name was Zach, and he was like a troublemaker kid, and yeah, it was pretty funny. He saw me in the hallway, and like we didn't even know each other, and he was like, "Hey, dude, Stifler haircut! I got one too!" And it's like, what the fuck? Like, that was the only time I ever like inspired someone's fashion, and I feel like because I was able to do that without trying, I definitely deserve to be a celebrity, because I feel like if I did try to influence people, I could get like 3 people to get a Stifler haircut. Like, I guarantee, even on this channel, even on this fucking channel, I guarantee I could get 3 of you guys to get a Stifler haircut right now. Guarantee it. 3 people. Who doesn't want to look like Eric Stifler? Who doesn't want to look like the Stiffmeister? Seriously? You don't want to be the Stiffmeister? Okay, that's your loss. Who knows what you're going to be? Yeah. Also, how did they get all these worms, too? This is a lot of worms that they each have that they're now putting in their pants. It's the moaning, it's the showing of the abs, it's the facial expressions. It's very, very gay, but also very hilarious. I really love this movie, man. Like, this movie is such a great kids classic movie. They don't make them like this anymore. Like, has there even been a kids movie this year besides Harold and the Purple Crown? Has there been a single one that like kids could watch and really like? I know they had like Despicable Me 4. Yeah. I like how Erica is just like a background character now too. She's like, it's like, is she gonna be his girlfriend at some point, or no? She's just like a background character who's like nice to him and helps him out sometimes. She's basically like a video game NPC character, and yeah, I also like this little dance off at the end. Oh god! And now they're almost twerking See, guys, like this. Okay. Yeah. I told you guys. This inning's really, it's pushing it. So I would give this movie, in terms of food, and actually Adam is dancing better than anyone else in the movie. Adam has really good dance moves. I love dancing, by the way. I really love, like, dancing in general. Dancing scenes in movies. And I love this part, too. The principal's, like, hovering over the... Oh! That's hilarious. Like, how dare you dance? How dare you dance in my school? How dare you enjoy yourself in my school? You're not supposed to have fun in my school. You can't dance in the hallway. You have to, like, stand there like a robot. You have to just be completely, like, emotionless. Like, really, really weird. But really funny, too. Again, this movie, this is totally, like, if you like Goosebumps, if you like Diary of a Wimpy Kids, you love this movie. And they're just patiently waiting for the door to close. Yeah. Now they're both taking all the worms out and yeah, throwing them up in the air. And this movie has, like, a classic old movie, like, character comparison thing where you get to see the character next to the cartoon. You get to see a little caption saying this guy was that character, this guy was that character. They never do that anymore. Actually, I should do that with my movie. That'd be kind of fun. That's like an old movie thing that, like, I really kind of miss seeing. So much fun. I guess in terms of food, I have to give this movie Dirt Cake. I think you already guys know what Dirt Cake is. Oh, and it ends on a freeze frame, too. Yeah. Classic. Fucking classic. Perfect. Grade A masterpiece movie. But I've always had Dirt Cake every year around 4th of July. It's sort of like a tradition at this point. I think we had Dirt Cake like 3 times this year. And it's like Oreo, and then you have vanilla pudding with cream cheese and milk and shit. And it's really delicious and tasty. And traditionally, you are supposed to put, like, gummy worms on the top, as if the gummy worms are coming out of the dirt, which is the Oreo crumble. And I feel like this movie is like a perfect dirt cake of a movie, and I would highly recommend it. This is probably a better commentary out of the last couple of ones I've done too, just because this movie's so good, and there's so much stuff to talk about. I bet I could talk about a lot more stuff too. I bet that there's a lot more things that I'll think of in the coming days. Yeah. So anyways, please like this video and comment and tell me what you thought of How to Eat Fried Worms. And then please subscribe to our channel if you'd like to see more movie commentaries. Goodbye, everybody. See you soon.